Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from MagooInvesting. Happy Wednesday. So I was planning on doing videos Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, but at this point, might as well just keep making videos if I feel the inspiration. And today, Wednesdays for me are cardio days at the gym, and they're usually really boring. And I also forgot my headphones when I was at the gym. So I was just kind of deep in my thoughts this morning. And some news came out last week, and my dad sent me an email, a link to an article talking about Robinhood. And I, for the longest time, really wasn't going to talk about Robinhood very often because I thought the people that already use it are probably going to stick with it. But some of the stuff that came out in this new article has really changed my tune on Robinhood. And I did make a video back towards the beginning part of 2020 explaining why I've left Robinhood. And I left Robinhood for most of the parts. I messed up some of the forms and I got stuck with my Snapchat shares, and Bitcoin stayed there. And I've sold out of the Bitcoin, and I have since moved my money from Bitcoin out of Robinhood and into Coinbase. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about what this article talked about that made me decide to actually close my Robinhood account. And I'm going to kind of lay out three main problems that I've seen with the platform and try to get you to potentially consider closing your Robinhood account. It is something that I think it's not a dire situation. It's not something where like 100% of people should close a Robinhood account, but I'm going to lay out some information about the type of people that I think could benefit from leaving Robinhood and going to a larger broker. So before I kind of take a swing at Robinhood for being kind of bad, I want to talk about my history with Robinhood because it is something that I've used for the past, I don't know, it's end of 2020, probably around 3 years. So I got started trading on Robinhood back in 2017. And at first, I absolutely fell in love with it. I'd always loved the stock market, but just the interface and how simple it was to kind of see what was going on with your portfolio day to day, I absolutely got obsessed with the stock market. And I think a lot of people kind of felt the same way. The way you can see your money change in real time was addicting, and it was not the greatest thing in the world. And it took me a while to get used to not checking it constantly. But Robinhood was really great. And the main reason why I think it became so popular so early is because for smaller investors like myself, the trading with no commissions was a game changer. Before, if you wanted to trade on one of the larger brokers, you'd have to pay commission on every trade. And if you're trading with a relatively small portfolio, I'd say if you had a portfolio under $10,000, those commissions are really going to eat into your profit because anytime you make a trade, whether it be buying or selling, it's going to cost $5 to $7 per trade. And so if you have a $100 account, you're losing pretty much your entire trade up front. So the no commission was a huge game changer. And at this point, we have to be really thankful that Robinhood has kind of made this push and has really changed how investing is viewed. It used to be this thing where it was a lot of the wealthier people would focus on investing, but as I always mention on this channel, investing is probably the most accessible it's ever been. You can start investing with $5 at this point. There's no commission, so it doesn't hurt the smaller investor as much. And now you can buy fractional shares. So say you wanted to buy a fractional share of Amazon, you can do that, whereas you'd have to be putting $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to get a single share of this company. So Robinhood has been an overall good for the trading community. But I think at this point, we need to look at other options because at this point, you can trade with no commissions on pretty much every major broker. This is one of the main reasons why I decided to switch to TD Ameritrade in early 2020. I had been comfortable enough with the overall stock market. I knew how things worked. I'd been paper traded on TD Ameritrade, and I decided to make that switch. So now that I've kind of laid out my history with Robinhood, I wanted to talk about the three major problems that I've been seeing over my entire history of using Robinhood and kind of explain how they've impacted me in deciding to leave the service. So the first one that I've noticed is something that's been going on for a long time. It's that Robinhood sells your data. And for a lot of people, I keep seeing on Reddit and Twitter, people are shocked that Robinhood sells your data. But you have to think, anytime something is free, they are selling your data in some way, whether it be YouTube selling your data to advertising companies. Everyone's making money off you. If it's free, you are the product. I just watched one of those documentaries. I think it was called The Social Dilemma. Highly recommend it. But if it's free, you are the product. And so they are selling your information to these high frequency traders. And so when I first saw that, a lot of people kind of get spooked because they don't like the idea of major companies profiting off you. But what does this mean when they're selling your trades? Basically, they are selling your individual trades, whether it be for 1 share, 1,000 shares, to these high frequency traders. And so instead of going through a major stock exchange, at this point, around 40% of all transactions go through these high frequency traders, when back just a decade ago, it was only 10%. So this has become relatively common, and a lot of the major brokers do it. So the information that I could find from 2018 is that Robinhood brought in $70 million in routing revenue. And based off of the explosion in popularity that we've seen on the platform, I expect that number has multiplied by 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 times at this point. So it's become a major revenue source for them. But at this point, it's only 40% of their revenue. So this is not a huge part of their business. When you look across all of the major brokers, every broker does this. It's just that Robinhood does it more often. And since they are a private company, they're not as transparent about what they're actually doing and how they're making all their money. Whereas if you looked at something like a TD Ameritrade, you can see all their revenue sources because they're a publicly traded company. So there's a level of transparency that you do not have with Robinhood. So overall, them selling your information to these high frequency traders is not that big a deal for me. It really does not impact how I trade. In reality, they're just trying to pile together as many orders to execute at one time to try to move the overall market. And so we've been seeing articles in the past couple months with this explosion in stock market popularity on how retail traders are finally moving the overall market, and these high frequency traders are some of the main ways that we're seeing that. And so the second major problem that I've been seeing with Robinhood is that they have reliability issues, which is a huge problem for people that are day trading and trying to get in and out in trades relatively quickly. And so if you just Google Robinhood outages, you're going to find dozens of examples of the platform being down at some point. This is not exclusive to only Robinhood. I did have a problem with TD Ameritrade a couple months ago, but it was for just a very short time and it wasn't a huge problem. But with Robinhood, we've been seeing a lot of problems with this. One of the most famous ones came in early March of this year when the platform was down for a majority of 2 days. And this was right when the pandemic was hitting, the stock market was going crazy. And with the high levels of volatility, that's where people are making their money. And so not being able to trade was a huge problem for a lot of people. And we've been seeing a couple lawsuits that have been coming out of that because the platform was just not up and people lost a lot of money. And so you had these lawsuits, and then Robinhood came out and offered people that were negatively impacted $75 as compensation, and you sign your rights away that you cannot sue them in the future. So they've had a lot of problems with this. There were some rumors that that outage in early March was because the company didn't program for a leap day. So when it got to leap day this year, the computers kind of were really confused. And then when the first Monday after that happened, they were looking for the wrong data from the stock market and they could not find it. And so apparently that is a rumor and was not actually true, but it has become so common that for people that are doing a lot of these day trading or option trades, I feel like you should get away from Robinhood because you don't have the reliability with Robinhood. You have the accessibility that Robinhood has offered to everyone, but reliability is a huge problem, and that's where a lot of people make and lose a lot of money. So that wasn't a deal breaker for me, but for people that are doing day trading or trading options on a frequent basis, I think getting away from Robinhood just because of the reliability issues would have been a huge red flag for me. And so the third and final thing, which was actually the deal breaker for why I have closed my Robinhood account at this point, is that their support is just absolutely horrible. So my dad did send me an email linking to an article talking about there were around 5 people that have reported that their shares had been sold out of their accounts and there was withdrawal requests. So people got into their account, sold their shares, and tried to take the money out. And so all of this money is protected by insurance. You can go and find a long list of the ways that you're insured under Robinhood, which is just kind of the norm for all of these investing platforms. But one of the main problems is that their support is so difficult to get to. I've had problems in the past where in the interface it said that I was in like negative $400, even though I had shares that were worth money. I've had problems with that, and it's pretty much impossible to get a hold of Robinhood support. If you just Google Robinhood emergency number, nothing pops up. And then you see these Reddit threads that are as recent as October of this year and go as far back of January of 2017, asking why Robinhood support is so bad. You don't have a way to file a ticket. Whereas if I have TD Ameritrade, I just Googled TD Ameritrade emergency number. You have a 24/7 number that you can call to get help. Also, if you're within the actual trading platform, you can file a support ticket where on average, I have seen them return and respond to my questions within 20 to 30 minutes on average. And so you don't have this support on Robinhood, and I think that's a huge problem. All of your money is insured on Robinhood, so they're not worried about that. It's just the fact that getting to try to talk to someone from Robinhood to fix these problems is going to be such a headache. And so in my opinion, this was the deal breaker and is the reason why I got out of Robinhood. And so at this point, Robinhood has done a lot of good for the trading community. It's been the most accessible it's ever been for people getting into the stock market, but I think there's better options. For people that are confident enough with their trading or not making very many trades, I think moving over to a larger broker like TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, any of these major brokers is a huge benefit at this point. If you're going to be starting a retirement account anytime soon, just understanding how their platform works, I think, is a huge benefit. And so this was the last straw for me on Robinhood. I'm very curious to see if you guys are still using Robinhood. It has become one of the most common places that people trade. I think the average age of investors or traders on Robinhood is 26 years old. So it's a lot of the younger generation. And I'm hoping that some of these negative stories that we're seeing are going to push them towards the major brokers, because while it's not a huge problem, you're not going to be losing all of your money. The three problems that I've outlined here of them selling your information, the reliability issues with all the outages that we've been seeing, it seems like they've been more frequent recently. And number three, the problems that they have with contacting their support, I think were a huge deal breaker for me. And I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about my discussion for why I decided to close my Robinhood account and why I'm kind of advocating that you should consider closing yours and moving to a major broker. So thanks for watching this video. I appreciate all support, and I will see you in the next video.